Welcome back to the channel. One of the things that mystified me the most when I first started playing again was, how do the pros know where to take it during an improvisation? Oh man, that's easy. That's the ones that lock themselves in a room for 8 to 16 hours at a time. And they just keep practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. And when they're not practicing, they're reading theory. And they just keep practicing and practicing and practicing. Or something like that. Well, that's partially true. There are some that's the way they study guitar. They just learn something new, they keep practicing, and they just keep going with it and going with it. But that doesn't necessarily explain the ones that know where they're going without any theory. And it's all about instincts. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Instincts. Now, before you can really hone your instincts, you do need to find some preliminary stuff, build up a little bit of knowledge about where the sounds can be found. To start with, I would recommend playing the dots, because you really can't go wrong while playing the dots. Yeah, let's add a little more volume. They all go together really, really nicely. Another thing is to return to that little trick that I showed you when it came to the pentatonic scales, where there were either one fret between or two frets between. So that you're playing first finger, pinky, or you're playing first finger, ring finger. So while playing with that, mix them up a little bit. Play, a whole step apart. Play a whole and a half step apart. And then start mixing them up so that you've got a couple of whole steps in a row and then a whole plus a half. And you'll find some really interesting opportunities to play with that. Then we have movable chord shapes, like, the infamous D. And if you play it one step up, and then move just a half step, and you wind up with a lick that sounds a little familiar. And that's just by moving it whole steps and half steps. And since these chord shapes can be moved all across the guitar, that makes things a little easier to deal with. And depending on where you are, you'll find some really interesting notes. Another thing that I'm really fond of doing, and I haven't really gone over this before, is what they call a double stop, which is where you play two adjacent strings at the same time. And it kind of thickens things up. You can definitely hear it in like your 3-finger power chord. But if you play double stops, like you're playing as if you're doing the E minor chord. And the whole trick is to experiment with it. And when you find the sounds that go right, because sometimes they don't, it's like, much better. Interesting. Just keep experimenting with it. Discover what works to your ears. And when you get that, that's the part you practice. And get that under your fingers so that anytime you're jamming or playing with somebody else, you have this bag of tricks that you can dig into, and no matter what they're playing, you'll be able to find something that you already know that will go with it. It may take some trial and error. It's supposed to. That's why it's playing. It's playing guitar. You've got something that you can explore, get under your fingers, get to know really well, and you'll be able to find your way around even if you don't know any theory. Just keep playing. I'll see you next week with a new video. And with that, like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. And remember, most importantly, there is no H in the musical alphabet.